So, hey guys, it's time to start building the API for the Node TypeScript and of course Angular or React, meaning that is the API for the MERN and MERN stack courses. So, as I said, we were going to build first the entire API and then show you how to connect that with Angular and React. So, I will add a link so you can see the preview of what we are going to build. And, well, let's see what we have. Okay, so far we have Express, Mongoose, NCP, and RimRaf that allow us to delete files and copy directories. So, I think the best way to start this is to actually build the basic structure of what we're going to have. So right now I'm on the index.ts. So let me check. Okay, so we will add this differently of other projects I have on Node.js. Okay, so that's why we have this structure using app at index.ts. So app.ts, what it's going to do is that it's going to have our components and the imports, what we need, and some configurations, and then the index is going to have just this listener, okay, that runs the application. So let's go to app.ts and let's add some code that we need. Okay, so we already have Express installed. Okay, what we're going to do is to import path from path, then import our routes that we still don't have from the directory that is going to be routes and index that we will create this one in a second, and we need to add course that I think we don't have that. No, okay, so let's say npm course just here, and while that is installing, let's copy this and let's go to our project, and inside where we see the node modules and the package.json, let's say git bash and paste that. So this should install. Let me move that to my other screen. So now let's actually add, okay, what we need in order to make these routes to work. So okay, let me check. Okay, so we're going to have some things, some folders inside this source that is going to be the controllers. That is not a folder, sorry, so let me delete that. This one, controllers. What? Okay, that is this one, the fucking icons controllers. Now the other one is going to be for libraries, not inside there but inside source. The odd thing is that it selects that and it doesn't allow you to add more inside the same source. So we have controllers, libs, we're going to add models because we're going to use them for Mongoose. The other folder, again inside source, is going to be our routes. And that should be it. And also we're going to create a new file inside a source that is going to be database.ts. Okay. And we will get that in a second. We don't have the environment variables, but we will install them later. So we already have course installed, and AppTS is looking for routes index. So let's go to routes and add an index.ts. This index.ts is going to handle our routes, but we are going to have the functionality inside the controller. So this is only going to set the routes. So let's say import a router from Express, import post controller, posts controller from or controllers. Let's add a little space in there, from controllers. And right now we don't have anything, but it's going to be inside post.controller. And let's save that. So let's go to controllers to add a new file that is going to be posts.controller.ts, and let's add something to this file that is going to be some imports right now. Import request. We need to say we need to tell TypeScript the types of objects that we're using. So of course we need to import the type of request and the type response from Express, because remember that TypeScript allows us to add some types response, so it makes more secure and easier for us to see what is going on inside a function, what to expect to pass and what we expect to receive from that. So it makes everything easier. So let's import now a folder that we still don't have. We'll add that in a second. Sorry, this is not it. So let's keep this one, okay? Because we are going to use a upload. So let's just add this, and let's say constant. I'm going to use a handler, okay? And this actually should be inside libraries. Okay, let's add it inside libraries. So let's say so this one is promise handler.ts. Let's call it like that, and we're going to say constant handle equals, let's say export constant handle, and it's going to be it's going to have a promise. So this is how we're going to handle the errors and the responses of our promises inside this. Okay, so we don't need anything inside this. We're just going to export the function, and then say return promise. Then we're going to check for the data inside. We don't care right now what the data is in this function, because we're going to return the data and undefined. Okay, because this one, the first part, is going to check if we have the data. If we have the data, then we're going to respond with that data and an error. Okay, the data is going to be defined and the error is going to be undefined. The next one is going to be catch. So this one is going to have an error of any, and we're going to return, not like that, like this. We're going to return a promise that resolve, and if there's an error, because we're inside the catch, we're going to return the data as undefined and the error as error. Okay, so it's the inverse of what we're doing here. Here we expect the data to be set, okay, meaning that the response is okay, and if there's an error, then we return data as undefined and we just get the error, and that should work. Okay, so we have the handler, and let's save this and let's import that inside. Well, let's just leave it there, and let's just say export. Here, let's just get all this working, because we still have some unsafe things here, okay, that just to remove these errors. So export constant posts controller, I have it, okay, with a lower p. Let's just keep that naming. You can change the naming or follow different conventions once you have all that. So this one is going to be an object, and you can see, since we're exporting something, this one is saying that it's okay. So let's save this. Let's save this, and this is our index inside the route. So let's go to there, and we need to continue with this. Constant router equals to router, okay, just like that. Router, let's define the routes, so let's add routes. Router that route, okay, and remember that we're going to use pagination. I told you that we were going to use that, so we need to define some things, okay, for our controller to handle what to bring. Okay, so we need to tell actually Mungus a limit and where we are. So this is how we are going to set it. We're going to say route. Okay, this is the main route, and we're going to add a page for the requests. We will see how to handle that in the client. Okay, and also we're going to test that with Postman, so you will see that before starting with the clients. So get, right now we don't have anything, so let's say post controller that all posts, okay, and let's go back because it's going to say we don't have that. Let's go back to post controller, and let's say all posts. So this is an object, okay, so all posts is equals, or it's going to be an async function that has this request that is type request. That's why we exported this, or I mean we imported this, because this is the typing for a TypeScript. Usually with Node you don't need this. And let's say response and response. Okay, so we have that. Now this is an arrow function. So, and we will add a comma here because each one of these is going to be delivered to each one of our routes. So this is how we're going to use the controllers. We define the main controller, okay, or the name of the object that contains the functionality. We reference that here. Of course, we need to import it, and we call the function or the property that is inside that. In this case, is an async function. So let's handle let's just build it right away. I expect you to understand what is going on. Okay, so because I don't want to build this first using just the regular things and then just to change it. Okay, so most of the times you're going to use pagination. So oh fuck it, let's just do this constant, because I have that constant post is going to be equals to await post at find. Oh, we still don't have that. Okay, I think I'm moving too fast and expecting you to understand, and I know some people might not understand. Okay, let's do this. Do something. Okay, let's fall back a little bit. So you can see now the error is gone. Once I start coding like this, I just want to keep going until I finish. So sorry about that. Let's slow down a little bit, and let's continue. So this one is the index.ts. So this is already set. Let me just check my index. Okay, and we need to do something. Export default router. Okay, so let's just keep things like this. We have our first route defined with what is going to be set for the even let's take this out. Okay, the way I see it, it might not take that long to build this, so let's first build the part that is going to retrieve all the documents we have inside our database. Okay, and then we will build the pagination. Okay, let's just do it like that. Let's just slow down. So this is set. Okay, this is not going to do anything, and we have our handler that is going to be imported later. So let's close this. The database file, we still need to set our Mongo Atlas instance. So I think this one should be ready. I know this was kind of fast, but I will try to make it as fast as I can, but I will try to also slow down to explain some things. So we have that, we have the routes. Okay, all that was because we needed the routes and we needed to make all that part working. You can see that this is inside different parts, so we still need to build the model. So that's why I refuse to continue with that part and first of all make all this work. So we are inside. Okay, database is not going to be set right now. We're inside app ts. So we already have this working, but we're going to set some things, okay, some settings for our application to work. So let's say app that set the port, not the post, the port is going to be the process that env that port in case we are in a service like Heroku. Okay, it's going to take the port that they set by default. Else we're going to run in the 4000. Okay, so we already have this inside our index.ts, but we're going to change this just to have it inside this app use. We're going to say express.json, so we can parse the information that comes to us from the client. App.use, we need to import course. So we have already that installed, so let's say import course from course. Okay, so course is declared, but value is never read. Okay, so course, just like that, and this should be fine. Why is this thing not okay? npm install add types course, so we need to actually install that. So let's say what is it? This one is not it. It's the, and this is what could bother you of working with TypeScript inside Node, because you don't have these errors or these problems with Node. Okay, try npm install add types course. So let's actually get that add types course. Okay, so let's copy this. Let's go inside our console and paste that and install it. Okay, so I don't want to go too slow and I don't want to go too fast in order to explain this or to continue with this. So while that is installing, okay, it's already installed. Okay, so you just need to install that. Okay, the types course, and you can see that we don't have that error because TypeScript needs to have the definitions, the typings for that to understand how to call the modules. So app, we're going to say use, and we're going to add an uploads file, not file, sorry, directory. So this one is going to be used by Multer. We still don't have Multer installed, I think. No, we don't have that. So we're only going to set express that static. In order to use that folder, we say path resolve. So we let not actually find that for us, and that should work. And app that use, and here we define the routes. App that use slash API. This means that every route is going to be or needs to be a prefix with this API. Okay, and we pass routes that we are already importing that in line 3. Yeah, line 3. So this is just it, and this should work. Let's go back to index.ts. Okay, remember we have an index.ts inside routes. That is not okay, is our index.ts inside our source. So let's go back there and let's make some changes to this. Here we are going to import something later, but let's say constant main equals async, and we're going to say await app that listen app that get the port that we are setting as a post, no, is port, and let's say console log. Let's cut this and paste it, and we're going to say something different. Server running on port. Let's add that, and just a command say app.get the port, so we can see the port that node is using. And let's remove that and call our main function here. Okay, so let's say and let's do something inside our route. Okay, sorry, our controllers. There's going to be response that send data, just to see if that works, and npm run dev to see if there's an error, there's a problem, and if it runs, you can see that we are starting, and we are starting on index. Okay, I mean on port 4000. So let's say http 4000, and remember that the first part is going to wait for something. Okay, I removed that, sorry. So it's only going to say this localhost 4000, and it's responding. Why that thing is not working? Response as send data. So why this thing is not working? So just give me a second and see. Yes, this should work. Sending a status that we need to set a status there of 200. Let's just say this. Let's say JSON. We're going to send some JSON and say data response, something like that. Let's save this, and this should run again. So, oh, because I always forget these things. API, and just like that, you can see we are getting that. Okay, we're getting data response from API because this is what we're getting. I was trying to access that using just this, but remember that I told you that everything was, or every route needed to be prefixed with this API. I always forget that, sorry, but it's working. And this is the first part, so it's been 25 minutes. Okay, we already have cores. We still need to install Molter, but we will install that later, because in the next video I think we're going to start with Atlas, Mongo Atlas, and install the environments, I think. Yes, we will do that. So see you in the next one.